Hello everyone, and I'm happy full moon in Pisces lunar eclipse. Oh my God, how is everyone feeling? Because this full moon lunar eclipse has knocked me. I woke up at 4 in the morning, couldn't get back to sleep, and I've had the craziest headache all since then. And just haven't been able to shift it. I've been for a walk. I feel great. I feel fine. It's also been an emotional week. Very emotional, thanks to the Pisces water sign. But anyway, I just wanted to share a little bit about the moons. So I've broken this up into little sections. So I'm going to start just by talking about the mechanisms of the new and full moon. So just new moon in general and full moon in general. So it's more start off generically, and then talk a tiny bit about lunar eclipses. I'm not an astrologer, so I'm not going to go into all the kind of the mathematical detail and geometry. And then I'm going to talk about this full moon, and then my personal full moon practice or my full moon rituals. And then I'm going to share a little prayer as well at the end, particularly for this full moon, but it could be for any full moon that feels like a bit of a psychic surgery. Or a full moon that has that unconscious level, like this one does, because it's in Pisces. So I know there's a lot. There's so much a lot of talk around new moons and full moons, and I just wanted to share my personal way of working with the moons from astrologers I've worked with, and the new moon has a mechanism of starting things new, right? New moon, starting afresh. So it's all about our intentions, setting intentions. And the type of intentions that we set on a new moon will depend on which sign that we have entered. And another thing I love working with, because I love working with the moons, is working around it, as my cycle in terms of my menstrual cycle. The new moon itself represents our bleed or our menstrual cycle. So even if you don't have periods anymore, or you don't have periods, or you've stopped having periods, they're not happening, whatever reason, you can still use the moon to support you in that. So the new moon tends to represent our the winter season and our menstrual cycle. It's a time for going inwards. It's a time for reflection, a time for planning, setting intentions, and journaling. It's not a time to be out and about. So with work, that works really well as well in our businesses, because it's knowing that we need to make more space around the new moon, as we do when it's our menstrual cycle. So making space, taking a nap, clearing the diary so that we're not overworking, and making space in the diary or the calendar. The full moon is all about releasing. It has that release mechanism. And again, that will depend on which astrological sign that the full moon is in, and that will be in the opposition of the sign of the sun. So that's called in astrology the opposition. So for example, this full moon is in Pisces, because and it tends to be in the opposite. But this one particularly is in the opposite, is in Pisces, because the sun is in Virgo, and the sun represents our conscious awareness. The moon represents our unconscious. So again, we would look at the archetype of what the full moon is in. So if we are using that as our releasing mechanism, and again, the new moon, sorry, the full moon represents our ovulation. So if we're looking at seasons, it would be the summer, and it's when we're our most outgoing. It's when we're our most extrovert. Even for those like me who are not extroverts, it's when we are feeling our most extroverts. It's when we can, do Facebook Lives or do be networking, making connections. It's really fun to use the moon in this way. When I used to do my full moon Eventbrite experiences or healings, I would always, I always chose the full moon because that's when I'm feeling my most extrovert. Although I do get really affected by the energies of the full moon, I am way more inward on the new moon. So it always works a lot better for me. Yeah, and it's also a great time for our business to create content in batches. That's something that I've often sort of intuitively recognized, like, oh, I'm much more like this at this time of the moon or in this moon phase. So I just thought I'd share those with you because I thought, they've really supported me in my growth and also in my business. This full moon, or this lunar eclipse full moon, has been incredibly intense. I'm a Virgo, so I have been feeling it incredibly. It's meant to be affecting those who are either have a sun, moon, or ascendant in Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius the most. So if you've got any of those signs I've just mentioned as a sun, moon, or your ascendant, then you will most likely be feeling it very intensely. And not only is this a full moon, but it's a lunar eclipse. So I just will share a little bit about the lunar eclipse. And again, I'm not an expert in astrology, so I'm not going to go into all the details. But what happens when we enter a lunar eclipse, we come into eclipse season. So this is going to be the full moon, and then we literally go into a wormhole. That's how my favorite astrologer teacher describes it. We go into this wormhole and we come out the other end at the new moon, and we're kind of spat out there, out at the other end, and we come out changed. Whether we are conscious to this or not, it is changing and transformational. That is what the eclipses do, and we are going to come out of the other side. It helps to be more aware and conscious of what's going on because it just makes the navigation process a lot easier. So full moons are lunar eclipses and new moons are solar eclipses. So that's something that I always thought was quite interesting. And this is where, the eclipses are where the nodes of the moon, the north and south nodes of the moon, intercept the ecliptic path. And I'm going to stop there because I don't know the details. But what I love about this, the north node of the moon and the south node of the moon are known in astrology as the dragon. So the north node is the head of the dragon and the south node is the tail of the dragon. So the north node represents where we are going, our future, our dharma, our purpose. And then the south node represents the tail of the dragon, and it represents our past, our karma, all the lessons that we brought into this lifetime from past lifetimes, and also all the gifts that we're bringing in with us into this lifetime. And that is the tail of the dragon, the south node. So this eclipse is a south node eclipse. So it's all about releasing the past, releasing all and letting go of what is no longer needed, whether they are limiting beliefs, stories and narratives that we've been telling ourselves, whether they are partners, relationships, friendships, jobs, patterns, subconscious patterns, especially the subconscious, because of the Pisces element of this full moon. And so we're releasing all that no longer serves us. That is going to be released. And my astrology teacher refers to it as a psychic surgery. So coming back to this full moon, this partial lunar eclipse, as I mentioned before, the sun represents our conscious awareness, and the sun is in Virgo. So Virgo, the archetype of Virgo is all about healing. So Virgo is ruled by two signs, both Chiron, the wounded healer, and Mercury. So Virgo is all about reorganizing, integrating, healing processes. So that is where the sun is, and that's where our conscious awareness is. So we're consciously aware of the processes and integration and the healing that we are going through. And then on the opposite end, we've got Pisces, which represents our connection to spirit, that dreamy yumminess of oneness, all the unconscious, all the unconscious stuff that is being brought up to the surface from below. So pay attention to dreams around this time. You may have noticed in the last few days that your dreams are more vivid and there are some interesting messages coming through. Write them down, keep a notebook or journal by your bed. And when you're keeping a dream journal, so what happens to us when we get out of bed, we tend to forget our dreams. So if this resonates with you and you wanted to keep a dream journal, keep your pen and journal next to you, and then write it as soon as you wake up, so that you can keep as much information as you can, and just write down the messages. There might just be really random things, but you could have a look at Google and see what comes out, or after doing journaling on them. You might also see themes and patterns in your dreams. So anyway, I'm completely digressing. As I mentioned, archetypally, Virgo in the whole solar system, or in the astrological system, Virgo represents the body. Virgo represents being in the body, the animation of the body, and Pisces represents that oneness and that consciousness. It's almost like the consciousness that is animating that body, or the oneness and the source animating through consciousness in that animated body of Virgo. So I thought that was a really beautiful way of looking at this full moon in a sort of in I guess a metaphorical and more physical way, because all aspects, all signs represent like the human experience. I've mentioned already that the full moon eclipse will affect Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces the most. So, you might be really, really feeling it if you're in those signs. If you've got your sign, moon or sun, or ascendant in that sign. The last thing I want to mention about this full moon before talking about my personal ritual is there is a grand Earth trine. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on astrologically. There's there's a lot of planetary activity. But the one that seems to jump out at me that I really wanted to share, which might resonate with you all as well, is this one, because it's a grand Earth trine. There are all the Earth signs being activated. So we've got Uranus in Taurus, we've got the Sun in Virgo, and Pluto in Capricorn. So we've got Uranus is the sudden and unexpected change planet. Taurus is all about stability, doesn't want sudden and unexpected change, feels a bit kind of in its detriment. I think that's what it's called in astrology. It's not its most comfortable. The Sun is in Virgo, so the Sun is in this process of healing, integration, organizing, and then we've got Pluto in Capricorn. So this is what's so interesting, because Pluto has been moving into Aquarius and then back into Capricorn. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008, and Capricorn rules all structures. So structures, the banking systems, housing system, governments, all those structures that have been built. And if we take ourselves back to 2008, what happened to those structures? We began to see, the fall, a lot of things, right? So Pluto is the planets of death and rebirth, which is why this is so interesting to me. And Pluto, actually, from a personal perspective, is also in my north node. So I am my future. I'm all about death and transformation, change and rebirth. So I come again digressing, but coming back to Pluto in Capricorn, it's been there since 2008, and it's moving into Aquarius. The age of Aquarius is the age of unity consciousness. It's where technology, we'll be using technology, hopefully for the greater good. It's that oneness that we want to get, and working together collectively. It's not the I, but it's the we. So as it's kind of Pluto's making its move into Pluto, it's kind of coming, into Aquarius. It's coming back a little bit into Capricorn. It's been doing this year. And it did this a few weeks ago, and it's going to stay in Capricorn until I want to say the end of October. It might be early November. Sorry, I might have it completely wrong. But I do believe it's somewhere before the US elections in November. So isn't that interesting? That we've got the planets of death and rebirth and change and transformation. We've got Uranus, sudden unexpected change in Taurus, and we've got the Sun in Virgo in this grand Earth trine. So things will be released. Things will be coming, transformed, whether we like it or not. So what else did I want to say on this? Yeah, so the grand Earth trine is also creates a vortex of energy. So it's this lovely, this powerful vortex of energy which initiates change and transformation. So we will be experiencing this not only on an individual level, but on a collective level as well. So rituals for the full moon. I think I love sharing ritual new moon and full moon rituals. I'm going to share what I'm going to do specifically for this full moon, because it does change, and what I do on a new moon will change as well. But particularly, but these are just, again, guidelines, and I really invite you to do what feels intuitive to you. I think that's really a really good way to strengthen the power or the muscle of intuition, is to kind of let yourself be guided. What I am going to be doing is, shortly after this, I am going to create my sacred space. I'm going to burn a little bit of copal, which is a really beautiful clearing resin. It's natural. It's from Mexico, and I am going to be doing a bit of self-healing, clearing my energy field and coming into that really clear and what's the word I'm looking for? Centered place. And then I will be saying my Merkaba prayer or blessing, and I will be making my cacao, drinking my cacao, because that supports me in getting to a really centered, heart-centered space, and doing my Merkaba prayer. I mean, what I normally do whenever I make cacao is I say my Merkaba prayer as I'm making it. And then, because it's kind of warm and sunny outside today, I'm going to sit barefoot outside in my garden, because for me, that connection to the earth, being an earth sign, being Virgo, being this with the sun in Virgo, and the sun being an earth sign, it has that connection for me. And then I'll start by giving thanks to everything that is in my life at the moment, that everything that I have consciously created, everything that has, just bringing in gratitude. And then my personal preference is to journal. I'll be journaling around some insights that have come through to me over the last few days around what I might be releasing, what patterns I've been experiencing, what limiting beliefs that have been coming up for me, and I may even speak them out loud. And again, it depends really on what sign we're in. If we're in an air sign, especially Gemini, I will always speak it. But today I feel like I might do a bit of both, but definitely with the journaling. I really want to do a lot of journaling on this one. And then I'm going to be doing, tonight, I'm going to be doing a full moon tarot spread. I usually leave my oracle spreads or my tarot spreads to the new moon, but this full moon lunar eclipse really feels like a powerful one for an oracle spread or a tarot spread, but that's going to be later on today. And then I will journal around what I'm releasing, and then say this prayer, which I would love to share with you. It's one I have magpied from my astrology teacher, and I know he won't mind me sharing this, but so because we're releasing the unconscious, and it's and we're not usually aware of what we are releasing, not always, I like to use this. So I am ready to release everything everything and anything known and unknown, conscious and unconscious, that would inhibit me from releasing my past and walking forward to live a more healed, more prosperous, joyful, and empowered life. And so it is. And then again, depending on which sign the full moon is in, I will burn my piece of paper, or put it into the earth. And actually, even though this full moon isn't a water sign, it's in Pisces, I'm feeling really, really called to burn it, to burn whatever I'm releasing. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Okay, right. I hope that was helpful, and I hope you enjoy this beautiful full moon and this wormhole that we've entered over the next couple of weeks. Just remember to take a breath and to be centered and to connect with your heart space whenever emotions are running high, whenever you're feeling off balance. Connect with yourself, your higher self, and know that it's going to be okay. So much love. Mwah.